You know what I absolutely love to talk about? Prospects. And first off, my apologies, because I know we haven't really been doing all too much of that on this YouTube channel as of late, because there have been so many other topics that I see value in discussing, but we have ourselves a legitimately big story with LA Kings prospects, and quite a few of them, to be honest. So, for context, we know that the NHL is not really going to start up anytime soon. The initial plan was for the NHL to start up over in December, but eventually there were some other rumblings. Maybe it's going to start in January, who really knows? Long story short, though, we don't know what's going to happen. So, what exactly is the biggest thing that these NHL teams are looking for in terms of their prospects? Well, it's a brand new home to play for before the NHL comes back. Because no doubt, for some of these guys who have been playing hockey their whole lives and are still teenagers or early 20 guys, whatever, a break from hockey that has been this long, ever since March, especially for teams that didn't make the return to play, this could be really bad. A long break like this for a guy like Gabriel Velarde or whatever, who stopped playing in March and who hasn't been getting any action up until now. It's already September, and we don't even know when the NHL is going to come back in December or January or what. That's potentially a break of literally 9 months. And that kind of thing for a young guy who's still developing into an NHL caliber player, that's bad. Straight up, it's bad. So that's kind of why we have been seeing NHL teams over the past few weeks loan out their players to European clubs, guys in the SHL, guys in the Liga, whatever. Different prospects from around the NHL are going to Europe and starting up in preseason games and tuning things up in actual league play. Because, hey, there's no hockey being played in North America, why not just go over and have yourself a time playing some hockey, actually getting experience, and for guys who have been playing junior hockey their entire careers, actually learn what it's like to play against men. So that is exactly what the LA Kings ended up doing here, because they ended up sending over 5 prospects to the Eisbären Berlin hockey club in the DEL. And they're not even just like some of the low-key prospects that were drafted in the 7th round of the 2017 draft, getting sent over to the country that he was born in or whatever. This is legitimately a big crop of star power over here, getting yeeted over to Germany. So, the names over here, Alex Turcotte, Tyler Madden, Akil Thomas, Aidan Dudas, and Jacobingham, are all going to Germany. Which is very cool, because this is actually a team that houses another one of the top NHL prospects in 2020, Lukas Reichel. So, who knows if there's going to be a slight connection over there. I don't really know. I'm just nitpicking. I'm just kind of pulling stuff out of thin air. But, of course, we still have to talk about what exactly is going on here with the prospects. But right away, at first glance, this actually makes a lot of sense, because AEG, which is the Anschutz Entertainment Group, is the party that owns the LA Kings, and they also own Eisbären Berlin as well. So they're literally like sisters, brothers, I guess you could say, of hockey team, so it makes sense that the prospects of the Kings system are getting loaned over to start off their season in Germany. So, because we're talking about 5 different prospects here, let's go over their profiles, just talk about who they are, and go over their prospect profiles in general. So, the first one, the big one, it is Alex Turcotte, the LA Kings 5th overall pick at the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. If you're a Kings fan and you know even just the basics on the Kings prospect pool, you probably know who Alex Turcotte is. He was a top pick at last year's NHL Entry Draft, playing out of the US NTDP, dubbed by many as the elite #1 potential center, the guy with the best upside in the draft aside from Jack Hughes and Capo Caco. A lot of people thought this guy could have gone 3rd overall to Chicago, especially since the Blackhawks took a center anyway, and Turcotte is from Chicago. But he ended up falling down to 5th overall, where the LA Kings came in and they swooped him up. He's a guy who played most recently with the Wisconsin Badgers in the NCAA. He played alongside of, well, not Cole Caulfield. They played on the same team, but they were played on different lines. In fact, the Wisconsin Badgers weren't really all too great in general. He only had 26 points in 29 games, which, to be fair, is really good, I'll say that. But the way this Wisconsin team was coached and the way they played, well, there's a reason they finished last in the Big Ten. Turcotte was on the receiving end of that, as he was a guy who many people thought probably wasn't playing the best because the team he was on wasn't really allowing him to do that. But at his best, Alex Turcotte is an absolute machine. He's got a really good work ethic, really good puck skills, offensive IQ, vision, and his two-way ability is really solid as well. He's a guy who, in my opinion, could project as a number one center on most teams, but on the very elite of the elite teams would probably be best suited as a very, very, very good second-line center. On a team that already boasts the talents of Gabriel Vilardi at center, and that will probably get Quinton Byfield second overall too. I'm gonna cross my fingers on that. Another center like Turcotte may not be needed as much, but at the same time, hey, you can't have too many good centers. What is having too many good centers gonna hurt your team? No, probably not. Another guy who was a center, though, is Tyler Madden. Oh my goodness, my heart. It beats so for Tyler Madden. He is a former Vancouver Canucks drafted prospect who was traded over to LA in the Tyler Toffoli trade. It was Tyler for Tyler here, guys. Tyler Madden was a Northeastern University Husky this most previous season, getting 37 points in 27 games. He's only 5'11", and he's 152 pounds, so he's not a big guy. But this guy knows how to shoot a puck, he knows how to create space, he knows how to create offense. He's a very, very good underrated point scorer, and as a guy who was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft, he proved himself to many as one of the more underrated Vancouver Canucks prospects. So when he was eventually traded as one of the main pieces to get Tyler Toffoli, that's kind of when the rest of the league kind of woke up and saw the potential in this guy. Plus, he was on all these all-star teams for the NCAA as well. He definitely was one of the more underrated Vancouver Canucks picks for sure. But he's an LA King now, and now he is going over to Eisbären Berlin with the rest of the Kings prospect squad. He also projects as a nice middle six, potentially a top 6 center. But of course, on a team that has Turcotte, that has Gabe Vilardi, and will probably have Quinton Byfield too, crossing my fingers on that one. We will see where exactly he ends up. Maybe he gets moved to the wing, I don't really know. Speaking about centers though, the next guy on our list is Akil Thomas, a 2nd round pick by the Kings in that same 2018 NHL Entry Draft. Akil Thomas, to me, was always this crazy good point producer, because even in his draft year, the guy was producing points like crazy for the Niagara Ice Dogs. The most recent season saw him get 84 points in, get this, only 49 games played. He's not a perfect hockey player by any means, but at the very least, he is a guy who has exemplified over and over again that against junior competition, this guy just knows what to do. He's got good puck skills, good offensive vision, good shot, etc. But as a center on a team that already has Alex Turcotte, that already has Gabriel Vilardi, that already has Tyler Madden, and that may indeed get Quinton Byfield as well. I'm crossing my fingers for that one. Okay, that joke is getting old. He's a center, and we'll know where he goes in a few years, I guess. Next up on the list, it is Aidan Dudas, a center. My goodness, so many centers. 5'9", 4th round pick at the 2018 NHL Entry Draft. He is small, just like Tyler Madden, but with the Owen Sound attack, he was just over a point per game. His overall projectability and draft stock as a prospect certainly is not as strong as some of the other guys we've talked about here, but he still has some very good point totals, so we'll see how he is able to translate that into a men's league in Germany. However, a lot of his game is really depicted by that grindy type of style. Because he's small, he does have to compensate for his size in other areas of the game, and his heart is definitely one of those areas. The guy's got absolutely crazy work ethic, always battling in the corners, trying to get the puck back, and he's a good one at that too. There's a reason why this was the captain of the Owen Sound attack in general. But we will see what he's able to do in Germany alongside of the rest of these guys. Next up on the list, though, because we're running out of time, it is Jacob Ingham. He is a goaltending prospect who played for the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL. A .917, a .296 goals against average. It's kind of difficult to judge goaltenders because, you know, they're goaltenders who are either teenagers or 20 years old. He's a goaltending prospect drafted by LA in the 6th round of 2018's draft. How about that? So, obviously, I'm not going to be the one saying that this guy's got any NHL potential or whatever, but, like, seriously, goaltending prospects are goaltending prospects. We'll see how they go in the system and how they eventually develop. They're really hit or miss, so I don't really want to spend too much time on this one. But we have ourselves 4 centers and a goalie going over from LA to Eisbären Berlin in Germany. Turcotte, Madden, Akil Thomas, Dudas, and then you got Ingham over here too. Talk to me in the comments what you think about these prospects, how they're going to do in Germany, what you like or dislike about this move in general. If you're a fan of another team, would you want to see your own team do something like this? If you're a Canucks fan, would you like to see, I don't know, a whole bunch of Canucks prospects get sent over to Rogla BK to play with Hoglander? That sounds pretty interesting if you ask me. But I'll talk to you in the comments in this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. So that's Roll9, and bye.